Today on This Week in Startups, Adam Kanner is here. He's the CEO and co-founder of ScoreBig.com. We're going to take some Ask Jason calls. Finally, I guess those have been backing up for a long time. And Tyler's here to drop some insights. It's going to be a great show. Stick with us.
That's what it's all about, man. They said money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. Yeah. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you. Yeah. Money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. Yeah. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you.
Hey everybody, it's This Week in Startups, and we're back from our little vacation break last week, but when we published the Fred Wilson episode, which seems to be getting a lot of praise, sorry for the audio problems, very unprofessional, but it happens sometimes. At least we saved the episode, and we felt it was good enough to at least get it out to you, and people are just really, you know, when you get a great guest like that, Fred Wilson, it's a good get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to go to New York to get him, but
yeah, no, I had him here. I was going to have him and his wife, Joanne Wilson, who's an angel investor, on at the same time, but they would go to Coachella and they couldn't get through town, so it was a little bit of.
He really doesn't get to LA very often.
Yeah, they come out once or twice a year, actually. I see them once in a while. But it's hard. He's got a busy schedule now. He's a big hotshot, Fred Wilson. I mean, when I knew Fred Wilson, he was like up-and-coming VC. He was like Mark Suster back then. You're like trying to make his bones, trying to get a name for himself. And now he's Fred Wilson. Oh, my God. He's, you know, like, that's like he's the A-list. I remember when he was like the C-list. You know, like, you went to Fred Wilson if you couldn't get, you know, the Valley guys. Now people are like going to Fred Wilson first, you know, right on par with the Valley guys. It's a real testament to the hard work he's put in over the last 2 decades. And speak of hard work, thank you to all the producers who've been putting in such a great job. I think we have, are there 100+ people in the producers program right now? I thought we said we're going to double the rates. All right, after this episode, we're going to double the rates again. But if you want to influence the show, become a supporter for as low as like $10 a month or $20 a month, $50 a month, $100 a month. You're on the back channel email list, and we discuss the show. So if 2 shows a week is not enough show for you, if you're that demented and insane that you need to do something between watching the 3 hours of programming we produce every week, if you're one of those insane people who is just a startup maniac, you must join the producers program. You must join the back channel. Go to twistlist.co, TWiST.co, and you can join. And if you join, as Tyler will attest, your life gets better. Much better, correct? No, you make a bunch of friends.
Yes.
You're on a mailing list with 100 people, and you discuss the program and how to make it better. And we talk about people's startups, and we talk about strategies, all this kind of stuff. It's sort of like, it's like an insider's club. It would be like if we had a private club for people. That's what it would be.
That is what it is, yeah.
It's like a little private club. You get access to Tyler. Tyler's going to respond to some emails on it, he says, in the fall. You got to start writing some responses to people. You do off-list stuff?
I do a bit of off-list.
You're an off-lister. Yeah. I understand that. It would be good if you participate on-list a little bit.
Reply all people. It's like, come on.
But I know, they're replying to all. It's a little, actually now, you know it's a good list when people are debating like, oh, there's too much on the list, and so there's like, now it's like, oh my God, there's too much discussion going on. That's always a sign you got a vibrant list. Come join the list. Just got back from Venice and Paris, had a little vacation. How'd you do last week? Did you take a little break, or?
Yeah, no, I didn't have a break. No,
just working?
Very.
How's the wheel going? I hear that it's evolving.
Very productive.
Really?
Yeah.
Any announcements or any progress?
Oddly got a lot more done with you being in Venice, perhaps.
Well, of course you didn't have to like do the show, but we had the taped episode, so that was really good. Scott Heiferman, I think, was the other episode, and he's a great entrepreneur. Yeah. We've got a great entrepreneur on the program today, and a great startup, and another great startup, MailChimp. I got my little MailChimp monkey here. MailChimp, I just sent a MailChimp last night because I was like, you know, I have these 23,000 Jason Nation followers. I'm going to ask people about what they think of what they think of Google Plus.
Right.
And so I just wanted to get a feeling.
Right.
So I put out 5 questions, like, if you could only have one, which one would you have? I just want to get information from my followers, my friends, in fact, because the list started with just friends, and now it's added a bunch of followers. I just emailed them. I wrote the email, and I sent it within under 5 minutes to 23,000 people. Last night from 10 a.m. till 2 in the morning, because I'm up like a crazy insomniac, I'm getting all these incredible responses back from all these intelligent people. Email is the most powerful communication device ever created, still is.
And I would say SMS is.
Nah, you're an SM. You got like that whole Euro SMS. Email's where it's at.
Okay.
And so anyway, they're writing me these wonderfully long responses. I just thought to myself, what a gift this is that I can get hundreds of people to reply, and then like thousands of people I could see through the statistics clicked on the link to go to my Google profile and added me there. So it's basically like this incredible way to keep up with your constituents. And everybody, I believe everybody should have a MailChimp. Like even if you only have 50 people, 100 people, you should write a little message to your friends and keep up with them and let them know what's going on. Whether you're a lawyer, whether you're an accountant, whether you're a CEO, you should have your own mailing list to keep in touch with people, because people are not going to go visit your blog. They're not going to go visit your Twitter. You need to have a way to. It's dead. It's kind of dead. I mean, it's not dead. It's embedded.
The problem with tweets is that there's so much noise.
Yeah, there's noise. When you send it by email, people know it's important and they pay attention to it. That's why you need to get MailChimp. The newly upgraded free plan includes the ability to manage up to 2,000 subscribers and send 12,000 emails a month. So boom, you're there. Just go sign up for it for your personal account. The new social features allow you to segment the list by cloud score, Twitter, and Facebook content syncing and more, which is really powerful, and I love that.
Plus, they got a great logo.
They
got your whatever that is.
That's called a there is a term for that. It's called a sound logo. It's called a audio. It's audio like trademark, an audio logo, something like that. There's a word for it. Like Intel has it. Bum bum bum. Anyway,
I'm thinking a little catchphrase would be nice.
Yeah, the catchphrase is.
No. Catchphrase would be, "Don't be a chump. Use the chimp."
Don't be a chump. Use the chimp. Okay, sure. That's terrible. We use MailChimp for the launch newsletter. There's no contract, no trial, and the
Can't
free
compete
plan
with the EEE.
is always free. Today on the program, Adam Kenner is here. He is the co-founder and CEO of ScoreBig. ScoreBig allows venues, promoters, and resellers to put events and live tickets up for sale. But the unique thing is then you get to ask for a deal. You get to offer your own price. Demand side selling, there's no fees or shipping charges, and they've raised a ton of money. They've raised $21 million from some good people, Bain and US Venture Partners. And US Venture Partners is a really up-and-coming firm that I know some people at because they did Savings.com, Living Social, and a bunch of other really cool ventures. And Adam, welcome to the program. Are you there?
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Perfect. How are you doing?
I'm feeling well, thanks.
And so where are you now? Are you in New York, Los Angeles?
Yeah, when you hear the sirens, you'll realize I'm in New York.
You're in New York, yes. And so tell the audience, what is ScoreBig? When did you found it? And what's the point?
Sure. Well, ScoreBig, is the newest place on the web to go get great live event tickets, all for below retail price with no fees. You pick your price, so you tell us what you're willing to pay, and we say whether or not we can sell to you for that. For venues, what we are is really a safe and secure channel for them to move their unsold ticket inventory in a way that doesn't destroy their brand or cannibalize full price sales. So it's kind of the opposite of transparent discounting.
Right.
It was founded back in 2009. We went live in beta in December of 2010, and here we are today.
Awesome. Hey guys, maybe you can pull my screen up. That's why I was flipping it back and forth. Yes. When he's describing stuff, it'd be good to show what we're actually talking about. So here we are. We're on the ScoreBig site. I logged in with my Facebook account really simply, and I can, I guess, go and pick, hey, I want to go see sports, music, arts, and theater seem to be the categories you're going after. And here's the most popular: Widespread Panic, Shrek the Musical. I can go find tickets to Shrek the Musical. How many tickets do I want? Take my wife and Tyler, so that would be 3. I'm going to pick the best seating. I want the orchestra. And then I make my offer here, I see. And it's saying $90 per ticket, $11 in service fees, $3 delivery fees, $105. I could offer $50 maybe a seat. Maybe I'm a cheapskate. Based on recent success, $50 per ticket is probably too low, and chances are slim you'll score with this offer. Remember, you can only make one offer every 24 hours on the seat rating. What do you think? Make a better offer. So you're basically telling me where to put my offer at?
Well, we're giving you guidance. I mean, one of the things that we don't do at ScoreBig is that we don't publicize what the actual price of the ticket is, since it changes all the time. It's dynamically driven, and what someone would be able to get a ticket for one day is different than what it would be 3 hours later for somebody else. But we try to give you guidance as to what other people have saved in the last 24 hours. So as you notice, there's yellow tickets, there's red tickets, there's orange tickets, A yellow ticket means that someone saved, at least 10% off the retail price of the ticket, and a red ticket means someone saved more than 50%. And as I said, those change all the time depending upon what people have been able to get.
So now you talked a little bit about cannibalism and brand. Does Shrek feel like if they put this on here, the public is going to perceive, oh my God, the Shrek musical is not worth seeing? Is that their core issue and the challenge of your business?
Well, I think there's, the live entertainment industry, particularly, the premier level of, the sports, the music, and the theater side is driven by, avid fans that are out there who want to get the best seat, who, are season ticket holders, are people that are willing to pay, what are expensive prices for great tickets to great live events. And the issue is that because we as an industry have so many unsold tickets, I think the stats that are always thrown around is about 40% of total industry capacity goes unsold. Then clearly what we don't want to do is go out there and mass discount in a very transparent way, basically telling ticket buying consumers that, hey, they can just wait and get a deal for something that otherwise we're asking them to pay, full price for. I mean, so, if you think about it, there's a reason why outlet malls are, 40 minutes away from most, populous centers. You have to drive out there, you jump through a little bit of hoops in exchange for great savings. You never know if you're going to get the right shirt and the right size and the right color. And the same thing's kind of similar here, which is you make certain trade-offs in exchange for some of the best deals on these live event tickets. You can't pick your specific seat. You can pick general locations, like a 5-star seat, 4-star, that kind of stuff. So,
and that was sort of the, I guess, when I talked to Jay Walker, I don't know, a decade ago or so, 15 years ago, I think now, when he started PriceLine, he said, hey, listen, if you're naming your own price for airline tickets, you don't get to pick when you fly. So there was this massive concession. Consumers had to just say, I'm going to fly on Tuesday, and they had to take a layover, all this kind of stuff. So is this a similar sort of idea? Like there's going to be a little bit of concession on your part. You don't get to pick your exact seat.
Yeah, there's several things. I mean, as you look at the site, you don't know exactly what the price is. I mean, we guarantee that every ticket we sell is below retail price, but you don't know if that's 50% off or 25% off or 75% off, although we give you guidance. So you don't know the exact prices, which means people don't have the ability to kind of cruise around and see what the quote discount is. Second thing is that most people who buy live event tickets really want to pick the exact seat they sit in, and we're asking consumers obviously to make a bit of a concession, which is we're going to make sure that you sit, if you want the greatest seat in the house, then we're going to let you choose a 5-star seat, but you're willing to sit in various sections, which provide some flexibility as to where we sit you. And then, you also don't know exactly where the ticket's coming from. We not only work with venues and teams and all these and promoters in terms of helping them move their unsold ticket inventory, but we also work with the leading ticket resellers and companies that have excess ticket inventory, anyone that owns unsold ticket inventory. So the consumer also doesn't know exactly who's doing the discounting. What they know is that the ticket is guaranteed. They know that the ticket's real. They know that they're getting it below retail price, but it also protects the brands of those that are out discounting or that don't want to be perceived as discounters.
So we had a good question from one of the This Week in Startups community related. How do you view StubHub and I guess scalpers or ticket brokers like that?
Sure.
Are those your competitors or collaborators?
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, right now there's kind of two worlds within live event ticketing. You've got, we call it kind of the retail channel, which is the place you're going to go find the widest selection of tickets at a fair price. You're going to, and you're obviously going to pay the associated fees and all that kind of stuff. And you go to the venue site, you go to the team site, you go to Ticketmaster, you go to places like that. If a ticket is sold out, if an event is sold out, you've got a great thing called the secondary market, which is the StubHubs and Tickets Nows and things like that, where the likelihood is you're going to pay more because someone's willing to sell you their ticket for more. And it provides a great service, which is, no seat is sold out. You then have this thing now called ScoreBig, which is if you want a deal, if you're willing to be a little flexible and you want the best deal in live entertainment, then we're the place to go to do that.
And another question from the audience, is it possible to build brand loyalty with a discounting site like this? Or are these going to be sort of transparent, these are going to be sort of transient users, do you think?
No, I think we don't want to be, the goal of ScoreBig is not to become the place where everyone buys all their tickets, because I think, first of all, as I said, we are a channel in an industry that has a lot of different alternatives for consumers to buy. But clearly, one thing that we think, can be improved in this industry is the ability to treat consumers extremely well. I mean, what's kind of, counterintuitive to ScoreBig is that not only is this a place to get tickets for as little as possible, and even though it's opaque and that you don't see certain things, We're incredibly transparent. Every ticket we have is fully guaranteed. We've got live customer support. We charge no fees. There's no delivery charges. There's nothing hidden in what we do. So we actually are trying our best to create the best possible experience in buying a ticket. And listen, no one looks forward to buying a ticket. They look forward to going to the event. We just want to make sure that that bridge to going to the event is as absolutely pleasant and worry-free as possible.
And what has the reaction been from the venues and, say, like Major League Baseball? I noticed you have a ton of Dodger games here in Los Angeles up there, but they range from being, sort of the red tag, which is the biggest deal, to the lower, 10% deal. What has the reaction been of those kind of teams? I know that they have thousands and thousands of seats, unused baseball games, especially ones that are in the middle of the day. What's their reaction been to the service? Is this something they're embracing? I know Mark Cuban did a lot of like family style, early on when the Dallas wasn't a championship team. He was doing a lot of like, hey, we're going to give you 5 tickets plus beers plus hot dogs for a family for the Tuesday night games at a really good deal. Are they embracing it?
Sure. No. First of all, the industry response we've had has been incredibly positive. I mean, the company is built from folks that have been within the industry in all kinds of different facets, whether it be on the property or client side, sports leagues or ticketing companies or music companies or so on. So we're a bunch of folks that kind of understand what is necessary in a solution to enable this industry to move tickets and feel good about it. We've had a terrific response from the industry. I think, without commenting, specifically on any, one market or whatnot. But we continue to, think about ways. We also are one channel or one tool. So the things you mentioned earlier about promotions and things like that, we don't expect to be the only place where, our partners look to move and sell tickets. We are simply, as I said, a channel designed to move lots of unsold inventory in a very industry compatible way. But we fully expect, that, listen, teams can continue to do, group sales and promotions and all kinds of different things to get different types of consumers into the parks, into the seats, because that's at the end of the day what this industry lives on is, butts and seats.
And you spent some time as a vice president at the NBA before you started the company. What was the NBA strategy for trying to solve this problem? I know they have like a ton of markets where I watch the Knicks games and sometimes they're playing some second tier city and like they won't show the video of higher than a certain height, I feel like, because the arena is so empty. What did you learn at the NBA about, and what were the best strategies there for filling those seats? How do they get those small market, cellar dweller teams to sell tickets?
Well, first of all, the reality of sports in particular is it's very cyclical and seasonal, and there's a lot of different factors that go into who sells out when, and a team that may have a lot of empty seats this season may be sold out next season, and it's there's a lot of factors that go into that. However, the issues of unsold seats, is a huge one for the industry. It was a huge one for us when I was, at the league. And then clearly we looked at every channel, every possible way to help put butts in seats, just do it in a way that didn't hurt our business. As I said, the majority of ticket revenue that's generated on the professional sports side is typically season ticket sales. These are people that are, paying substantial amounts of money well in advance of the start of a season. And the last thing that you want, to see is that if you're a consumer that just bought a season ticket and suddenly a similar seat or location is being discounted, several days in advance of a game, it doesn't make you too happy. And so, as we thought about different channels, clearly we were focused on how do you get to, new fans, casual fans, folks that otherwise wouldn't be in the building or wouldn't be willing to pay the kind of, ticket prices that currently exist right now. And how do you get them in? We didn't, one of the reasons why we founded ScoreBig is that, I just personally didn't see many alternatives that really scale, that really could move lots of inventory in a way that was protective of our business. And that was really the impetus for ScoreBig. It's kind of like, you kind of think about when you live and breathe that, what is the company you'd love to see walk through your door? And fortunate for me, my time at the NBA was really valuable. I've also, this is my 4th startup, so I also had, the background in starting companies, and the kind of opportunity just became very natural.
So what's the most challenging part of the business right now? What's the hardest thing you have to deal with?
Listen, I think in every startup, and maybe I'm just a little older and wiser, but it's always execution. So the hardest thing in the business is that, the business itself changes, monthly. With every person that you hire, with every, new dynamic that's created, the business essentially changes. So continuing to keep, focus, continuing to make sure that, the business executes itself in the right way is always the most challenging. I think that we've been very fortunate because we knew very well what we were getting into when we started this company. We knew the issues, we knew the players, we knew, the questions that were going to be asked. And so I don't think there's been any real surprises in terms of the execution of the business, in terms of that side of it. We've had, I think, a terrific success with raising capital and getting terrific people. But obviously, operating the company and continuing to grow the company at the pace we are is always challenging.
How much of the NBA's revenue, or a typical sports team's revenue, comes from the ticket sale? Taking out the people who buy season tickets, but the regular folks who are buying tickets. How much of it is selling the ticket versus concessions? Merchandise.
Well, again, it differs. And it's tough to kind of generalize. I think that you're looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of a third, plus of total revenue. That kind of area is ticket sales. Now, remember, there's lots of revenue streams beyond, the in-arena concessions and parking and all that kind of stuff. There's local broadcast rights, there's sponsorship, there's merchandise. But again, the interesting thing is when you think about all those different revenue streams, getting people into the building and, as I said, butts in seats is what drives all of that. So even though the revenue associated with unsold tickets may not be, the biggest of pain points for these properties, getting fans in, getting new fans to experience the event so they become fans in the long haul, making sure that they're there to buy concessions, making sure that when it's time to renegotiate your local broadcast rights deal and sponsorship deals, that there's a vibrant, living a fan base. When it's time to renew season ticket holders, it's much easier to do that when you look around and there's very few empty seats than there's empty seats all over the place. So these are all the reasons why, again, very subtly, it's critically important to get butts in seats, and why ticket sales, and in particular filling buildings, are so important.
When we get back from the commercial break, I want you to explain how you raised $21 million for such a speculative and crazy idea. And then I also want you to tell me about the patents in this space, because I know there was a business patent, I think, that Jay Walker had for this kind of reverse auction, and how you guys have worked around that, or if you have some sort of a deal with them. But one company you're going to want to have a deal with is Squarespace. You may have noticed we just relaunched the launch site, and we use Squarespace, of course, for it. And it's just a beautiful, elegant, simple-to-use product. And as you guys know, who watch the show on a regular basis, we have two advertisers a show. We give them each a couple minutes, but they're actually not advertisers. They're pre-approved people who Tyler or I use the products already, and we haven't really gotten that far down the list. We picked the top 10 products we use, and Squarespace is one of them. 24-hour support. You can make incredible, beautiful, professional-looking websites for your blog, photo gallery, or large or small business. I was telling somebody who was broke, and they had some web design skill. I said, just go to these local businesses and redesign their website on Squarespace and offer them the site for free, or for whatever amount, on spec, because it's just the templates are so easy to make beautiful apps with. Fully featured iPad app is out and working, and the new version that they're going to launch, I'm begging him for it, I think it's going to come out in the fall, is just gorgeous. If you're ready to create your own website, go ahead and go to squarespace.com, and if you go to squarespace.com/twist, TWiST, and if you do create a website there and you send us your receipt to contests@thisweekend.com, just forward it to contest or contests, either one, at thisweekend.com, and you'll get this beautiful bag. Show them the bag. Boom, there it is. Gorgeous This Week in Startups bag, only available to people who go ahead and use Squarespace. Thank you so much for your partnership, Squarespace. It's been a delight using you for the launch website. How beautiful, gorgeous. As a matter of fact, we did we profiled ScoreBig. That's how I found out about you guys. We profiled you on the launch website. So let's talk about this patent, business patents and that kind of stuff. Wasn't there? I mean, I remember reading all about this. Like Walker Digital has this patent on reverse auctions, and nobody can ever do an auction again. And this sounds exactly like what they were patented. What's the intellectual property in this issue? Did you guys do a deal with them to get clearance?
Listen, I don't and can't comment on any of our IP or the ways that right at the back of the business. I can tell you that what we do is substantially different than PriceLine or any other business, and that's about all I can say.
So you don't have a deal with PriceLine, but your belief is that you're good with your IP.
We feel very comfortable with our business.
Awesome. And so, what do you think about business patents in general? As an entrepreneur, you built a couple of companies. Are you in alignment with me in thinking that they are complete bull BS? I was about to say.
Nice save.
It was a good save. I almost wound up in the swear jar. Do you think they're BS?
I think business process patents are tough, and I think they're tough because I think they have the potential to really hurt innovation. And I think that, again, there's a lot that can come out of something as broad as some of the business process patents that we see out there. And I think, listen, I think it came at a point in time where many of those were issued, and we're seeing less of that. But I would tend to agree with you that although I do believe strongly in being able to protect intellectual property and being able to have a mechanism to do that appropriately, I think there clearly are plenty of examples of business process patents that.
Well, you, for example, don't believe that your process of offering a fee for a ticket should be patentable, do you?
No, absolutely not. I think there are technologies that we use to do what we do. I mean, as I said, if you think about, without going into too much detail, the front end of our business is as you said, is a process. It's in the same way that you would, the one click and the various other things we're all very accustomed to. I think those things are pretty standard and pretty fundamental to much of the e-commerce, social commerce, or other experiences that are out on the web. But there are clearly ways to do things on the back that that in our case involve things like pricing and all the algorithms and how we determine when to sell a ticket and not, that are that took years of time and very smart people to develop, that at the end of the day may have worth in being protected.
So maybe software patents you think could possibly be a good thing. I'm kind of against software patents myself. What do you think, Tyler?
I'm for well, first of all, patents. The real problem with patents is the rate of innovation has far exceeded what was initially perceived as even possible when the idea of patents started.
Yes.
And when patents came out, it was like, you've got 20 years to this idea of your own, which back then was not that long.
Right.
Now 20 years is freaking forever.
Right.
Technologically speaking.
Yeah.
So if patents were like, you get 2 years with it, okay, I can see that.
Yeah.
But
and if you had to use them, like, yes.
But it takes more than 2 years to even get your patent.
Right.
So the whole machinery of it has kind of broken down.
Let's talk about how you raised the money. It's a pretty sizable B round you guys just did in April. What's the market like out there for Series A people with a little bit of traction? Did you guys get a spectacular valuation? Was it easy historically as an entrepreneur to raise money for this business?
I think that, listen, I think no matter what anyone says or what the time is, it's always hard to raise money. I think that raising money is never an easy thing, and clearly there's examples of businesses that get funded that maybe shouldn't have, or the process was maybe lack of some diligence and effort, but the bottom line is it's always tough to raise money. We were very fortunate, I think, because at the end of the day, we had a very good mix of what I think most investors are looking for, which is an idea that is scaled and big and is defensible, in addition to a team that has domain expertise, as well as has built companies before and understands what it's like to win and lose. So I think that there was a lot of elements to this business that made it very appealing for investors. And listen, we were raised. Again, we did our seed round Series A back in 2009, back in the old days, and 2010, and the environment has clearly changed dramatically, in the last several years. But we were incredibly successful, again, raising money in a tough environment, because I think good businesses look that much better, so I get, listen, like any entrepreneur raising money, if you've got a very strong business and business model, I think those are the criteria that most investors would focus on. And I think a lot of the ideas and the talk of not only the bubble, but the kind of funding that you see this time around versus perhaps in the the late 90s is a bit different, because people are more savvy about real businesses being businesses.
Yeah, it seems like there's a legitimate revenue this time around, whereas the first time around wasn't really much revenue.
Right. Well, or was it there really was a bunch of the, trust me, we'll figure it out when it comes. I think there's if we get lots of people, clearly there's a way to make money. Or, there's a whole bunch of that, which again is less of what I think, at least what I've seen. The businesses that have been funded that are out there are leveraging, the technologies out there to build really interesting businesses. They may not all be as big or as widespread or as overly impactful as people may perceive them to be today, but they're real businesses, and I think that's the difference.
Hey, so you look like you're not a spring chicken. You got 4 startups under your belt. I keep reading that 40-year-old guys, a little gray go in there. You look like you're probably in your 30s or 40s. What do you take of all this? Hey, you can't build a big business. Entrepreneurship's over at 35, 40 that you're hearing on the blogs and whatnot.
Yeah. I mean, listen. I think the truth. I think if you have to dissect that a bit more. I mean, clearly, I would argue strongly against that. I still believe there is value in experience, and this comes from a guy that I was, a CEO for a major venture-backed business at age 28, and kind of lived through, being the youngest and and what that's like. I mean, I just look back and go, my goodness, like what I know now and didn't know then. But that being said, I think part of what the reason is, as I said, I look around to many of my colleagues and folks that are doing very interesting traditional things, and I'm in a position where I don't at this time in my life have kids. I have much less of a or much higher of a risk profile than many others in my stage in life, and I think that is much more to do with why folks do startups earlier. There just is a lot more. You can take many more swings at the bat, and you can. At the end of the day, if it doesn't work out, which is the likelihood, then you're impacting yourself and not a bunch of others that rely on you.
Are you more risk-taking now than you were when you were in the 20s?
I think I am exactly the same. I think that I grew up in a family of entrepreneurs. This is kind of what I grew up, believing is the normal. So I get very anxious, and I like to think, even though I hope this isn't the case, but it may be. I'm probably not a great employee. I like getting things done and building things, and so. I always like to think that the amount of progress that you can make in a startup and the excitement and an amount you can get done is just so unique. And I'm addicted to that. I've been addicted to that for my entire professional career. So I don't know if it's. I know that I will do this, over my career, and the times that I have dipped back into corporate life, which is very infrequent. I made sure that. I had the means to be able to go back and do this and not get the salary and do all the things that you do as an entrepreneur. But I planned for that because I know that this is what I like to do.
Growth in the United States has largely stopped in terms of the internet. We have a wonderful, huge market here in the United States that's very robust with a lot of cash in it. But let's face it, it's flat. Usage flat, user growth flat. And you are a new business, but in a flat market. Where is your growth going to come from after this market? Are you looking international? Are you thinking about, hey, in Europe or Asia, this could be a really bigger idea?
Yeah, well, listen, I think that we're really not concerned about growth in the U.S., particularly because what you're talking about, again, to shed light on our industry, you've got a 20 to 22, $24 billion live event ticketing industry in the in North America. And you have no value market of size and of substance. So if you look at the impact that the Hotwires and PriceLines and all the different businesses have had within travel, if you look at the not only the guilds, the rule of laws and stuff domestically, there is literally we have 40% of our total industry capacity that goes unsold. So there's a tremendous amount of growth here. But I'll also tell you that this problem exists in every other major market, and clearly. We will look to that at some point.
What has the impact of the hotlines and the price lines and the discounters been in the travel market, in your opinion?
Well, I mean, I think empirically, you've got businesses like PriceLine that I haven't checked what their market cap is of late, but I believe the last time I checked, it was around 25 billion. Doing several billion in top line, and listen, and still, even though only a portion of their business is the name your own price component of their business, and obviously they're invested in many international businesses as well. The fact is that they still are a value-focused business in an industry that has a lot of different channels. I mean, when you think about going on vacation or traveling, you've got places to go to help you plan the best vacation. You've got other places to go to make sure that you have the best views and recommendations on hotels, and you've got other places to go to get the best deal. And I think that industry has taken to channel marketing very effectively, which again is something that our industry needs. I think that travel, you can also look at, I mean, again, what they have also done a terrific job of is figuring out how to build a business that is very compatible, and kudos to them, that works in tandem with the industry. American Airlines, I believe when they originally took their tickets off of most online travel sites, they didn't on PriceLine. They built a way of working with the supply side that has earned a lot of trust and has created this opportunity to be a viable channel that sits alongside, not in competition with the primary channel or the direct channel.
Yeah. By the way, that last question about going international was from executive producer Amir. Tyler, any questions?
So another question in the chat room, which was, how did you initially go about with there's in platforms like this, there's always the chicken and egg.
Yes, inventory and then demand.
Right.
Yeah, how do you get that flywheel going where you have nobody knows who you are, so you have no traffic, you have no SEO, and you have no inventory? And how do you get the people with the inventory to give you inventory if you don't have traffic? How did you solve that problem? Or did you solve that problem?
Yeah, no, it's a terrific dilemma in most every startup. I think we took a tact. You hear a lot about rapid iteration and in startups and how the best thing is to do is to whip out a product and get it out there and see how consumers use it and so on. There's a reason why it took us a year and a half of development work before this product was ever launched to consumers, and a lot of that had to do with really delivering a vision and to the industry to basically say, listen, this is a channel that needs to be built. This is a tool that you need in your business. We will take all the risk. We will fund it. We will get the best people on the planet to do it. But what we need is your support, and your support through providing us with inventory and so on. We also, as I said earlier, we also work with not only the direct inventory owner or the direct or the venues and the teams and such directly, but we also work with every other source of tickets that are out there, every other ticket owner that is out there, helping them move unsold tickets, whether that's the large ticket resellers or companies or so on, which means it gives us a tremendous inventory of tickets in advance of being able to in advance of driving consumer awareness and demand. One of the things that we are very cognizant of, which is why ScoreBig remains an invite site, is we don't want to create something where the consumer comes in, has a miserable experience, and then decides never to come back. And I think there's a balancing act between making sure you have enough consumers and make sure you have enough inventory. Every day we're proving to our partners, based on the kinds of sales that we're doing and in the scale that we're doing it based on the number of members that we have, that if we are able to grow this appropriately, we will help change this industry and help change their business. But at the same time, it doesn't help anybody to drive millions of consumers in and have suddenly not enough inventory to satisfy them, and suddenly they go bye-bye. And I think you see some of that in some of the struggles with some of the flash sale sites and other things where inventory is sold out in the first 30 seconds and 15 seconds. And by the way, that's interesting to a point, but you lose interest pretty quick. You need to have product to fulfill consumer demand and vice versa. But again, because we are, I think, a credible folks from this industry that had a vision for a product and were able to deliver on things like capital and other things, that we're given the opportunity to create this thing by the industry,
on the inventory side,
which we don't take lightly.
On the inventory side, they're going to give you the benefit of the doubt because you got $20 million in the bank.
Listen, there's
a little bit of credibility.
It's important because I always used to say, particularly when you're dealing with professional sports and in this industry, that you see businesses crop up, one day and 3 weeks later, 3 months later, they're gone. One of the things that I can say is that we're going to be here. We're very well funded with very supportive and eager and enthusiastic investors, and we will make this work. So for that, you're also talking about inventory.
Collect their email lists and let them market, the product. Like, for example, Eventbrite and some of these other services, they're really becoming full service event tools. So you can put in your mailing list and market to those people and sort of have the whole life of the customer. Do they get to come in and email their customers and say, hey, we're going to have some tickets on here from time to time?
Well, we absolutely work with our partners in various different ways that include reaching out to customers in very targeted ways. That being said, remember, in the same way that we talked earlier about the risks of discounting, we are an arm's length channel. We want to be the place that, where our partners feel comfortable moving unsold inventory without them promoting to their own customers that you can go get deals on the same stuff we're asking you to pay full price on. So there's a balancing act there, but we definitely work through partners. Obviously customer acquisition will be a core focus of this business. And I think there's lots of different ways to get the word out, so to speak, as it relates to being able to save up to 70% on all a host of premium live event tickets.
I noticed you guys aren't doing a lot of the ads on the Google. I did a search for Shrek Los Angeles tickets and Dodgers. I see you're not sort of engaged in the the StubHub, I guess, click wars and some of these ticket scalpers. Are you just not able to compete with them in terms of how much they're willing to pay on a cost per click basis, or it's not worth it to do that?
I think that is, as you've seen the market, the SEM world kind of evolve, particularly in the space that we operate in. It's very cluttered. I think it's very difficult to, we have a very simple, very, direct proposition. We don't, if you think of, type in discounting, there may be ticket brokers promoting the fact their fees are less than another fee, and that's why they're discount. At the end of the day, we have a very strong, very defensible value proposition that is not well communicated in those types of ways, nor is it something that is cost effective as we see it from a customer acquisition perspective. I think figuring out, using social media, refer a friend, figuring out ways for other folks who go to events to invite others. Those are all ways. We want people to learn about this by people that they trust. Because,
so patience, a little patience and a little social media word of mouth will go
patience.
further.
I think if you rush it too much, there's certain businesses which if you try to rush too fast, and sometimes you have to because you need that for your next round of funding or whatever else. But we have the luxury here of trying to build a business in the way that we think is right.
Yeah,
and
slow product, slow growth brand, let it grow organically. What about, have you guys experimented with subsidizing the sale of tickets and putting massive discounts on them to get people excited in different markets?
Listen, I think we, like any business, we experiment with a whole bunch of different things. We test every day different ways
Sounds like
of delighting our customers and so on. So
yeah. I love that. I can always tell because when I asked you that question, I'm a poker player, and you went like this. Yeah, we try a lot of different things.
We try
That's to me. I got a little bit of it. I got a read on you.
Yeah.
I got my read on you, Adam. Adam, continued success with ScoreBig. I heard about the company and I just thought this is a really brilliant idea, and I'm definitely going to try because I love going to live events. I'm not sure about Shrek Los Angeles, but I'm thinking actually when my nephew's out, maybe I'll try to score big on some Shrek tickets. Everybody, if you're looking for an amazing job and you're a developer, I'm sure Adam needs developers. You need developers, Adam?
We need developers. We're looking forward to any and all.
So everybody email adam@scorebig.com. I'm sure that's your email address.
It is.
It is. There you go. And follow us at ScoreBig on Twitter. And hopefully I'll catch up for coffee with you next time I'm in New York.
Jason, thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Enjoyed it.
Great interview. Really interesting company. I love this concept of not flash sales, because that creates a mob scene, but this persistent ability to find value for people maybe who are suffering on an economic basis, and let them ask for a deal because it's all this unused capacity. It's all this unused capacity. Like GetAround was an example of that. We had GetAround, like cars, Airbnb, extra capacity. Yep. There's a whole industry where you just look at extra capacity and how to leverage extra capacity for gain.
Inefficiencies.
You're looking for the inefficiency. You're looking for extra capacity in a market, and then can you then consolidate that, market it, package it in some way that you can then take a piece of. So Airbnb does that for, hey, your extra bedroom when your person's out of town or your roommate's out of town, you can rent that extra bedroom. Or you have the extra house, or you have a guest house, whatever. I don't know in your compound how many guest houses you have, Tyler.
I'm trying to think how they could make it into a more habitual usage thing, like find something that you need tickets for on a recurring basis.
Well, if I was a Knick fan, what would be good is if I could create an alert this is exactly what I was getting to. If I created a little script.
Anytime you get tickets for under 30.
But see, here's the thing is you have to then, actually if you could put a filter on there where it just emailed you anytime, if I knew, like a sniper, anytime anybody else had gotten 50% off and it emailed me and said, hey, somebody just got 50% off on this ticket, or 60% off or 70% off, then I'd be like, oh, okay, maybe I want to check that out.
More to the point, like you want to sit in you're like
Yeah, but
row 4.
Yeah.
If row 4 seats
those seats are not going to wind up on ScoreBig.
They're not?
No.
Well,
not for the games I'm going to. No, the games I'm going to are sold out. He sort of said that early on. Like, they're sold out. Although I will say, there was one case where it was, because the Clippers were such a terrible team that courtside seats, like second row seats, which are still considered courtside. There's 2 rows right by the Staples Center. The second row is $500 a seat, or $600 a seat. And so for the Clippers game, and they're playing the Knicks, I was like, okay, I'll go get that. It cost me $1,000, but whatever. I go to buy the tickets, $500 for 2 seats. I said, how's that possible? If $500 is the ticket value. It turned out the Clippers are so bad, and the people who have the season tickets, and the Knicks were so bad at that time, which is when we just had gotten Stoudemire, that they were selling them for 50% of the face value. So I got them for half price. The person who bought those at season ticket prices lost $500 for me to go watch the game. It was an epic game, too. Pretty good. Let's do an Ask Jason. God, that was really loud. The ringer. I hope the sound problems we're having are getting better. By the way, if you ever have technical problems, you just go ahead and email Matt at This Weekend. That's my way of punishing them. Just go ahead and email Matt at This Weekend if you have any problems with your computer.
You don't like getting those when you're on vacation in Venice?
Oh, I love that when I'm on vacation in Venice and 50
the audio is bad on the
50
clip.
people email me and tweet me. My Twitter stream is like, oh my God, this episode is terrible. It's great. It's terrible. I'm going crazy about this audio thing. It's just. If only we had a show like Pensado's Place where we had an audio engineer.
If there was only an audio engineer who knew what the heck he was
Only if we
doing.
had an audio engineer. Pensado's Place is booming. Yeah. And you brought that show into the network. Very well done.
Dave's an old friend of mine.
Dave Pensado's amazing. I had dinner with him. And Pensado's for those people who don't know, Pensado's Place is another show on thisweekend.com. Yeah. And he is an audio engineer with 4 decades of experience. Oh, he's a genius.
He does the biggest names in the business.
Biggest names. I was at dinner with him. His phone's blowing up. I can't say who, but it was top 5 female artists in the world.
You'll be hanging out with him in his studio.
Yeah.
And these girls will call because he does like these Uber.
The most Uber.
The most Uber.
And they're like, oh, can you make me sound a little better at this point in the song? And he's just like, boop, 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 boop.
You'll be talking with him about just the most mundane stuff ever, like your favorite Mexican restaurant.
Yeah.
And these girls call in, and she'll be able to put him on hold for a second, and he'll be like, okay, I'm in the middle of a conversation. I'll call you back. And then he'll go right back to talking about tacos.
You really go check out Pensado's Place. And now the show is getting 20, 30, 40,000 views on YouTube and $100,000. It's one of the biggest shows in the network.
Well, anyone who's into music production knows.
Well, that's the whole point behind the This Week in Network is we're trying to make it an aspirational network where you learn stuff. Like this show teaches a lot. Pensado's Place, also a very great
even for
show.
As an entrepreneur, it might be fun to watch this show.
Yeah, it's worth checking out because he's such an entrepreneur in and of himself in his own right. And a great co-host in Herb. Okay, so we have an Ask Jason.
Herb's the hustling entrepreneur guy.
Yo, Herb's the word.
Yeah.
Phil is on Ask Jason. Phil, how you doing?
How are you?
And so, Phil, you're calling from where?
I'm in Lancaster, in the northwest of England.
Oh, very good. And you have a question for us? Let's hear it.
Yeah, I've just launched my side project I've been working on for the past 6 months. It's kind of used car meta search. It searches like the big used car sites, classifieds in the UK. So I'm trying to promote it with a blog. But I've been learning about all these SEO techniques. But I thought I'd better come to you for the best advice.
Yeah.
So clearly, like all the keywords that I really want to get are going to be hard to get, like used car search or sports cars, or like the competition is so hot for those. I can't see that I could ever rank well on page 1 for those kind of keywords. So I was wondering, what's the kind of best strategy? Is there an alternative strategy? Let's say I want to get those people who are looking for a car to beat the London congestion charge. I could write a post about that. That might be only a few hundred people, but could I get a top ranked slot for that versus trying to target more general keywords that are really popular and really in demand?
Yeah, so this is a challenge. You're in a very, very competitive space, cars, where there's a lot of money at stake. You don't have a chance in hell of getting SEO. It is not going to happen, except on the very, very, very end of the long tail. And since you're not creating original content on your site itself, you're sort of scraping other sites and making a meta search engine. Google doesn't like to index other search engines in their search engine. That's their no results in the results rule, which they started.
Well, that's why I have my blog to produce all this nice content.
Yeah, so that's where I think a blog is not a bad idea. Another idea might be for you to actually scrape the actual pictures from, I don't know, there's a little bit of fugazi here, but if users, let's say, UGC, if users could take photos from other services or other cars and write reviews of them or add content to them, then you got something interesting going. So I like the idea of the blog, but I also like the idea of users talking about, how good a used car this is. So I see you did top tips for selling your car on eBay Motors here on your blog. That's great stuff. Mazda RX-8, bargain used sports car, biofuel baggers. I mean, you're doing really good keyword dense stuff. Not exactly sure that these are going to get SEO either because it takes a long time, and creating really world-class content is hard.
Yeah, it's taken a long time for them even to be indexed. So,
but let me give you a place where it's not hard.
Okay.
What's a place, an ecosystem, where there's probably a dearth of video content? Oh, I just said it. A dearth of content, video. So here's an idea for you. You get your iPhone, you get your flip cam. You go out, you look at used cars, and you talk about, here's a used car. And then you'd have something truly unique that doesn't exist, and YouTube probably doesn't have that much. So I would be looking at it saying, are there videos I could make and write a little bit of text and then put that up of unique cars, of things that I can SEO and compete for? So do people type in the search, Land Rover, what is the Defender? Like, right, Defenders are popular over there?
if you're a farmer.
Yeah. Anyway, I really want to get a Defender. I'm just talking from my own experience.
Oh,
Anyway,
Jason, you don't want to get a Defender.
I know they're terrible, right?
Terrible.
They really have the worst maintenance and everything, but they look so cool.
Yeah, they look cool in Tomb Raider, but you don't. They actually have a flap below the windshield if you want to let cool air in. That's how you get ventilation. So.
It really, yeah. But I love that Defender, man. Look at those beautiful Land Rover Defender 90s there, man. Really? And you're from England and you're hating on your own country's like signature car. Look how gorgeous these are. Pull up my screen, guys. If anybody's paying attention in the control room, probably not.
What do they say in Australia? If you want to go into the outback, take a Land Rover. If you want to come back, take a Land Cruiser.
Yeah. Interestingly, my Google images are not coming up. That's really interesting. Anyway, maybe it's because of JavaScript or something. But so anyway, there's an example of like, hey, these cars suck, right? So you could do a post of like why the Land Rover is a terrible used car to buy, and now you go take a video of it and you talk about all the things you hate about it, and that might actually be pretty compelling.
Yeah.
And the video might be funny and interesting. So I told you guys I'm all in for video because, when you go to people are going to YouTube where they're seeing videos and that's where they want to consume the information. They don't want to consume information, in text anymore. And so video is the big winner. Another thing you might want to consider is, your meta search engine is an interesting project, but does it really solve, how big of a problem does it solve for people?
Well, let's say that in the UK, I think this market's fragmented between one big player and two smaller players. So if you're looking for a certain car, you've got to check those 3 sites.
Right. So but will people ever, will you have anything unique enough that will get people to embrace the service and tell their friends about it is the challenge, I think.
Yeah.
And so it may be a better mousetrap, but people may never find it. And the current mousetrap, it might actually be good enough. Like Craigslist sucks, and they've never had good search. But some reason it still works, and every time somebody tries to create something based on scraping it, they block it, etc. So despite the crummy search, and you have a much more beautiful search. I was just looking at it.
Oh, thank you.
So something about video in cars where I think there's a huge business waiting to happen there of videotape my car for me and that it's for sale and interview me about it, or just do a video tour of my car. I bet you people would pay £100, €100, to have somebody come and make a video and post it on YouTube for them to try to sell it. I could be wrong, but...
Well, especially if you had data that showed that a video listing sells for an average of $100 more per...
Yeah.
Which I don't doubt that it would.
I'm guaranteeing it would, do a whole bunch more. And
all you would need to do is do 10 of them and show that they sell this much above the average price.
Yeah.
And then you would be able to defend your asking price.
Because there's a company called Pixelfish, which bought a company called Backyard, which I was an investor in. And so I actually own a couple shares in this company. But Pixelfish is doing grow your business with video. So they're making videos for companies, for like local businesses. So you can go and look at this. Like this is for like a montage video of 30 seconds, $225 a month, $379 a month. So if your local business wants to get like a video made and have it updated once in a while, they'll update it for you, and they'll post it to all the different places like Yelp or whatever. It's a sort of interesting business. So I'm thinking the same thing for you. Like, what is the thing you could differentiate? If you hired some kids to go out and make videos and then edit them and publish them, this could be a revenue stream for you, not just as, like, hey, I built a better technology, but what's the thing you can get money from the consumers for? And there's two consumers in this transaction, right? There's the seller and the buyer. The seller, they're motivated to get that piece of crap Land Rover out of their thing. If you can make a video that sells that Defender, you might have a very big business on your hands.
Sounds good.
I really like your I like your start. It's a good carspy.co, huh?
Yeah, the .co is inspired by you.
Well, very good. It's a great domain. I really your design is very good, and the name is great. I really like it, and I see you can pick what site. What do the sites think? Have the sites even found out about you yet?
No, I haven't heard from them. I've been kind of holding off. I don't really know. I guess it's against the terms and conditions they have. But if you read them, then Google indexing them would be against their terms and conditions.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about that. Yeah.
I mean, if it was successful, we're driving them traffic. So.
Yeah,
I don't think eBay minds.
You can beg for forgiveness on the afterwards. You know what might be interesting is also taking the models and the price and storing them over time. So there was somebody doing this for eBay in the United States, where they made an eBay thing that showed you an auto's price over time on eBay. Do you know the name of that?
I don't know, but I've always loved to be able to do that for eBay, but they specifically forbid it if you sign up to the API program. Any kind of historical saving of data.
Yeah,
price.
Somebody's done it. I've seen it.
I think there are some companies that have entered into contractual partnerships with eBay that do it. So power sellers were able to get that data and find out depreciation curves for items.
Yeah, somebody do a search and find out about that and put it into the chat room. But there is a site, because I was on eBay Motors looking at old, like Corvettes on eBay Motors, and they had the history of collector's cars, and it was amazing to see like what these things had sold for. God, I wonder where it. God, I was just looking at the site too. Here we go. Keith Martin's collector car price tracker. I think that's it. And they made like this auditing system where it would show like over time what one in mint condition, regular condition would go for. It was beyond awesome. Anyway, keep pushing on it. I think that you have the possibility. What do you do? What's your day job?
I'm a .NET developer.
Oh, .NET?
Yeah.
Oh, that's painful. What do you do that for, a bank or something?
It's not painful. No, we're a startup and we're developing some hardware that sits in comms rooms, patch panel monitoring.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, look at this. Collector car price tracker brought to you by Keith Martin and eBay Motors. So they must have given him permission. You're right.
Yeah,
and here you go.
I think this is a lot of money deal.
This must be a big deal because you can look at over time what the price of these Corvettes were. But nothing would probably stop you from doing that on Craigslist. And information is free. The data is free. So actually, if they didn't let you scrape, or if you had a way to scrape without them knowing, plausible, deniable scraping, human scraping, or you hired people in Manila for $1 or $2 an hour or $3 an hour to then go put that into a database, could be a very interesting business for you to actually look at the most popular cars and show a price trend over time.
And maybe the analytics of what people are searching for, you could tell what was hot and what was not.
If you had access to that data. That's the problem.
Well, I know what people are searching for on my site, so I can work out.
Yeah. That's another way you can get traffic for your site is to do your own quasi metrics, like people do this big infographics trend. So if you actually did something where you said, hey, I track the price of Land Rover Defender 90s over the last year on these services, and you just wrote a script, which would be very easy to do, to just store every single thing, then just send all those pages to Manila and ask them to write the price and put it in a spreadsheet, which might cost you $100 to do or something. I don't know. Tyler's good at this kind of stuff. And then you could actually show the Defender price over time and how much money you're going to lose buying a Defender.
Yeah.
You know, those kind of graphs and those kind of blog posts that have some data, they get linked to a lot more often.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's,
All right.
It's almost more of a writing PR-friendly data
Yeah.
that then drives your traffic.
As somebody in the chat room said, quasi-code,
yeah, but it's
quasi-metrics.
you're not subject to an algorithm and SEO competition. It's more data can be news.
Data can become news.
Right. So you kind of play your strength that way.
Exactly. All right. Very well done. We'll talk to you soon. Maybe we'll see you at the meetup when we come to London.
I'll try. Thanks, Jason.
Cheers now. Interesting stuff. Interesting episode. I like doing the Ask Jasons. We got to do an all Ask Jason episode. Let's put an all Ask Jason episode on the books because that was really interesting. I always love hearing that and brainstorming with great entrepreneurs. Thanks, Adam Canner, for coming on the program. ScoreBig, very interesting. MailChimp. Thank you for supporting the program. And Squarespace, thank you too. We'll see, and thank you, Tyler. We'll see you all next time on This Week in Startups.
Until we get the money, spend the money and defeat you. Yeah, money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. Yeah, we ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money and defeat you. It's been a minute, so you thought you were safe. You trapped behind these bars like you locked in a cage. Stuck behind bars, making minimum wage. Your bar's tender. Here's a tip, get you a raise. Ain't nobody gonna offer a profit to motherfuckers who ain't rocking it, topping the hip hop charts and then stopping it. Quick to drop a set opposite of the hottest shit, copping it. It's the profit kid, always quick to accomplish. I'm positive. Getting green like a roster with a lot of dread. Money's piling up like the Washington Monument. The way I'm steering this track, it'll make you car sick. The only time you're gonna see green is when you barfing. I'm the Mothman, consider this the prophecy. I'm in it to win it, that's why I'm making a profit, see. And I won't spend it till my rich is stupendous. And I'm selling sicker than tech, is the method is to keep it independent. Money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. Yeah, we ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money and defeat you. Yeah, money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. Yeah, we ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money and defeat you.